It is day 37 in the 2018 Utah legislative session. Today we passed out the bill that will finally allow Tesla to sell its new cars in Utah. That will now move to the full House for a vote. We also handled a bill dealing with homelessness and affordable housing. As you may know, the legislature has concentrated on that in the last many months. Our Speaker of the House is very passionate and committed to fixing a problem with homelessness that has really risen to a critical crisis level in our capital city. And the legislature started intervening several months ago, particularly on the law enforcement side, improving some services. And so we dealt with a bill that deals with homelessness and affordable housing. From my perspective, they're really not the same problem. One deals with critical needs and some service needs, some support and resource needs. The other one impacts markets or is impacted by markets and things like that a little bit differently. Sometimes it's represented as a continuum of need, and maybe for some people it is. If they can't access affordable housing, then it turns into a homeless problem, but not always and not frequently. So not comfortable handling them together. They're two different things. But this bill, it addresses the funding for this, and for my city, it's about a $250,000 hit, where I'm not sure that's really the best way to handle it, or even an appropriate way to handle it. If it's truly a state need, a state crisis, some of us voted to have a more direct state appropriation instead of piecemealing funding across the state among the cities, which really has a disproportionate impact. I expressed the concern that now that we're taking money from cities and as much money away from my district as we are for this, are we also changing the way we address homelessness and the way that we are serving those needs? What we do know in our 8 months of studying this and intervening in this is that there have been policies in place, almost 40 years of policies, but really in the last several years, policies that have exacerbated the homelessness problem in our city and drawn this criminal element and really they've prevented people moving from homelessness through transitional settings to independence. And if we're going to be taking money from cities, we should really be changing how we do this. The sponsor noted that was not in the scope of this bill. This bill just deals with the funding aspect, but I really wish we would have handled both. I would like to see any homelessness service providers, I would like to see that done on a competitive basis through a competitive bid process. And let's only let the people who really know how to do this, who really know how to get people from homelessness to self-reliance. And the people who've been doing that in Salt Lake City aren't very good at that. But there are a couple of organizations out there that are fantastic. I think we should model those. We should have funding go there. The bill didn't really address that. Wish it did. Wish we would have tied funding to making sure that funding is used the best. I'll end this with a quick Utah civics lesson. Tomorrow marks 1 week left in the legislative session. This is when crazy stuff happens. This is when things move so fast. This is when some parliamentary procedural rules are suspended, and it's hard to watch everything move as fast as it does. I've got my bills are still running. They're still moving through House committees, and they're in Senate committees. And so a whole lot of movement and a whole lot of scattered focus. So this is a time for you to pay attention and let us know what you see and what you hear out there. Let us know how you're going to be impacted, you or your business or your community. It's great to have extra eyes and ears out for this. These are the days we're going to see finalizations of budgets, where we're going to see some big policy decisions. You've already heard of some of the things floating out there, big transportation changes, Northwest Quadrant, maybe some tax proposals, some education, funding, restructuring. There's all kinds of things that are still hanging out there that we'll be considering, and so help us keep an eye out for them, and let us know what you see and hear, and what you think and feel, and we'll try to keep an eye out too as these things start flying fast.